Hello, all. This is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3. And in this particular video, I want to talk about why Dave Ramsey sunk cost analysis actually works and what is going on behind the scenes. So if you don't know who I am, I'm actually a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. Specifically, I sort of study a lot in terms of behavioral, how people make decisions within organizations and how organizations innovate. But anyways, that's another thing. But in this video, what I wanted to do is specifically talk about Dave Ramsey's sunk cost analysis and why it actually works in terms of making accurate decisions. So if you don't know first of all, if you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, he is this radio guru. He's one of the most popular talk radio people within the United States. I didn't know who he was until I actually moved down here from Canada, and he's from Tennessee, so he's got this really cool Southern accent and crazy sayings all the time. So he's very interesting to listen to, but people call him up and ask for personal finance decisions or ask them about sort of personal finance things that are happening in their life. And a lot of people might ask, should I invest in Bitcoin? Should I invest in a second mortgage? Should I invest in a rental home? Should I invest in gold? Should I do X, Y, and Z, right? Should I actually invest in something else? And the first thing that he will ask is he's going to ask them if their mortgage is paid off. So first of all, he's very much anti-debt, which is excellent personal finance decision for most people. Actually, all people. Most people sort of behaviorally don't do very well with debt, and there's lots of reasons behind that. And one of them I'll talk about in 1 minute, right? So most people will say no, that they don't have their mortgage paid off. That's normal within the United States and within a lot of Western countries. Most people don't have their mortgages paid off, and they still owe the bank some money. So then he goes and says, well, if you actually had your house paid off, if you had all of your assets paid off, and you had absolutely no debt, would you go and borrow X amount? Would you go and borrow the value of your current house and get that particular asset? So an example might be, so you have a $200,000 mortgage on your house, and the person calls up and says, can I start this new business by investing $100,000 in this new business? Well, he'll immediately ask, would you go and once all of your assets are paid off, would you go and get a loan for $100,000 to start this new business? And almost everybody, and then he'll take it to another extreme. He would say, would you borrow like $1 million or $2 million to go and start this new business? And almost everybody says no. And what is going on here? So what's the sort of magical thing here? He says that it activates at different centers of your brain. It's not necessarily all that true. There's not all sort of, there's not generally different centers in your brain. From what I understand, right? But there are, it does make us perceive what is going on a lot differently. There was substantial, and there's a lot of substantial amount of work in this particular area, and it all started back with there was these Israeli psychologists. They were kind of doing kind of economic stuff. So Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, and they were in Israel, and they started doing these really cool experiments and really coming up some really cool theories. One of the ones that they actually came up with was it's called prospect theory. And what they're thinking about in this particular, and this prospect theory, not only won them the Nobel Prize, the honorary Nobel Prize in economics for this particular idea, but it also spun off entire fields and a tremendous amount of work in this particular area. So people are very excited with this idea. And it's a very simple idea. And the idea is that we have reference points in our mind. And we sort of think about these reference points whenever we make any sort of financial decisions. So, for example, what is happening when you're thinking about investing in this particular investment? Say you have a mortgage already and you have the investing in this particular investment. What you're thinking about is you're neglecting your mortgage. You're currently neglecting your mortgage, and you're thinking about the possible gain that you're going to get. Right? That gain gives you some pleasure. But what he is doing is getting you to the point where He's bringing your sort of reference point to the point that you're actually thinking about losses, right? So he goes and says that if you have everything all paid off, and this is a complete loss, right? Everything that you do with this particular thing, this business decision that you're doing is a complete loss, which most business decisions and most investments you have to think about, they generally don't pan out very well, right? So the way that actually works is you're going to, the majority of the time, you are going to lose your money. So another way to think about, whether you're actually going to make money on this thing, it's actually the decision that a lot of investors make, sort of really astute investors make, is whether you're actually going to get your money back. And it's not the sort of money that you're actually going to make. On top of that is whether you're actually going to make your money back, especially if you're investing in anything that's very, very risky. So investing in just the stock market, less risky as a whole, right? As investing in many different companies in the stock market, what's called a mutual fund or an index fund, less risky, but it's still risky. You could lose everything that you've invested, right? So what he's doing is getting you to think about all of those losses and getting you to sort of perceive those losses in your mind, and the thing that you're actually investing in can be a complete loss. And so when you bring up those losses enough, it starts to really hurt. And what you're thinking about is all the possible losses, and you have a stronger reaction to the losses than you do to the possible gains that you have. So that's the big idea that they actually had, is thinking about the differences between the what is called the utility gain, or the possible gains that you can get. The sort of emotional reaction that you're going to get from losses are stronger than the ones that you're actually going to get from gains. And the reason is, and from what I understand, the sort of current state of the art of research in this area, the reason why we actually respond in that sort of way is because of sort of evolutionary responses, right? We're kind of programmed in this way through thousands of years of dealing with sort of unsafe or uncertain situations that could be potentially bad for you, right? So the reason is, if you try, you're looking at a mushroom, right? So imagine that you're a cave person and you're looking at a mushroom and you're like, I can eat that thing and I can find that this is a wonderful source of food and I can always benefit from this thing. Well, there is some benefit from that, but let's say you can eat berries and other things that you can actually eat. So you're going to be much more you're going to sort of get some pleasure from eating that mushroom. But you also think in your mind, you're like, oh man, if I eat this mushroom, I could potentially die. So there's going to be a stronger emotional response from dying, or that potential loss that you're going to get. So you have to strongly react to that potential thing of actually eating a mushroom that could harm you. So thinking about gains and losses makes a lot of sense if you think about the potential harmful effects that could actually happen to you if you actually do that one sort of risky or uncertain thing, and it could backfire on you tremendously, right? So you could lose a lot more. You can actually die. You can lose a lot more than what you can gain. So thinking about a mortgage, or thinking about investment decisions in terms of the sunk cost analysis, of just getting you to the point where you are thinking about something as a complete loss, that is going to allow you to make a much more wiser decision than if you're just thinking about the potential gain that you're going to get. So Dave Ramsey, kudos to you. Thank you so much for actually telling people about this idea and spreading the word. That's amazing that you're doing this. Really love your work. All right. And by the way, I do listen to you on a regular basis. So anyways, take care and have a wonderful day. Oh, and if you like this, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care. Bye.